What's up, guys? Welcome back to yourself. And today we're going to install some visors on the turn signal. Let's take a look at where I'm talking about and what I'm talking about. Damn it! If you caught my video on the installation of these trim rings here, you know I just kind of recently put these on. It gave a little bit of depth to the bike. It took away from the headlight kind of bulging out like Mike Wazowski's eyeball from this thing. And the kit that I bought had 3 pieces, came with the 2 passing lights and this visor here. One of the other, or the more, I don't want to say common, I don't know, you know what, pictures that I've looked at online, other bikes that I've seen at shows, I get a mix of them. Those with and those without visors on the turn signals. I'm not sure. I wasn't quite sure like how this was going to look. Well, I bought some. So let's take a look at them. So these are from Amazon, very cheap, 20, 25 bucks. I've seen them as low as 18 something or whatever. And, you know, to me, it was going to be a gamble, like I think Chrome always is on Amazon, where you're not sure if you're going to get stained or something that looks rusted out or whatever, and you have to play the exchange game or whatever with them. So in this particular case, I lucked out. They're clean all the way around, no stains, no problems there. The quality of them feels great, and it comes with rubber seal rings or whatever. Now the downside is, as usual, no installation instructions, right? Totally missing from this. So kind of had to figure out on your own how these are going to go on. So let's talk installation of these things. Like I said, they were actually wrapped in newspaper from a foreign country, and there was nothing like that. Yeah. Anyhow, it seems like a no-brainer, but just to be sure, what I did is I went to Harley Davidson's website and looked up the turn signal visor installation guide, because they have them, and I was able to look at their image to see kind of how things are set up. So let's look at where they're going to go. According to Harley Davidson's website, or their installation instructions, we need to remove the lens, place that O-ring on the back side of that, and then put the lens back on, and then we put that new visor on. So what I think happens, and we're going to confirm it as part of the process, is that that O-ring provides a small gap between the lens and the stock housing here, just enough for the lip of that visor to bite into, and that way it kind of all blends in. So I don't know, let's get started taking this thing apart and we'll find out. Of course, disassembly of this is very simple. It's 2 screws. So take those guys out. A little bit of pressure on your lens just to keep it from, you know, flopping down and getting scratched up on the floor. That's it. So yeah, the stock setup doesn't have an O-ring, so we're going to put that O-ring in place now. All right, so after fiddling with it for a little bit, oh, there you go, it came off again. It's one of those things, man, where you're going to want to kind of just get it where it needs to be and then get it in place. So just keep that in mind. You're going to probably want to keep pressure with your fingers on it. Just make sure you're careful with it, because you don't want it to pop off as you're doing the installation, because then you kind of defeats the purpose of having that ring, and water or whatever it is going to find its way into your housing, which is what you don't want. So taking a look at this, you can see now there is a gap that has been made by that rubber seal. So my guess is now that we have that gap, this portion right here by my thumb is what's going to kind of pinch into there, and that's what kind of adds that area for this to close down on. So it's just pretty simple. It's the pinch style. Got to loosen this up enough, open it up, I'm sure, and then pinch it back down and tighten it down. So I'm going to go ahead and let's get to that. So there you go. That's what it looks like with it on. If you get in there, you can see it doesn't sit flush. And I would imagine that probably none of them do, regardless of who the manufacturer is. I don't think any of them. There's like a little gap there. You can kind of see the screw there. There you go. You see that screw? So it's not flush. It doesn't look bad, but I want to point that out. Like there is a gap there, a little bit of a gap there. It doesn't go all the way around. It just seems to be on the sides there. When you look at the top, it looks like it fits pretty good. The bottom, it's there. It's just on the sides. So, and this thing is almost closed off. So I'm going to do the other side, and I think I might keep that one a little bit looser than I did that one to see if it fits differently. Because maybe I did this one wrong. I'm not sure. Again, this is kind of trial and error. Figure it out, and then we'll take a look at what this looks like overall. So let me get back to you. Let me get that side done. Got the second side on. It did go on a little bit easier just because I kind of anticipated the differences. As far as tightening of the screws go, I just barely a hair looser than I did those ones, so it's not much of a difference. I don't think that made it go on any easier, to be honest. Now, the one thing I will tell you is once you get it over and you're making contact between the lip of this and that rubber ring, if for any reason you don't have this thing centered on the bottom, one is it's going to look kind of funky. You'll see it. Like you'll be like, oh, it's not on straight. The second thing is you have to loosen this up a good amount and get that screwdriver in there to open it up a little bit, because if you try to rotate it without doing that, that rubber versus metal, there's a lot of friction. You're not going to be able to move it, and you're probably going to damage that little O-ring there. So take your time, take that screw out if you want all the way, spread that thing open, rotate it whatever direction you need to go, and then retighten it down. But all right, so let's do the back ones, right? So we've got the front ones on. They're looking good. Looking good. Let's go ahead and put these back ones on. They're a little bit different style though. And the reason I went with the different style, and I'll show you what that style looks like, is because it doesn't have to match with anything else back here. And I felt like the front being that visor, having that thicker lip on top, or the visor, I don't know, lip, visor, whatever, for it to stick out more on the upper side, top side, versus being a little bit more uniform, makes sense up there, but not back here. So let's take a look at these. Now these ones are a little bit cheaper than those front ones. So I think the front ones were about 20 bucks or so. These ones were super cheap, like 14 bucks or whatever. And this kit comes with not only the rings. Let's get those out because those are probably the more important thing to see here. So it comes with 2 rings, of course, no instructions. So there you go. Oh, don't drop them. So 2 rings, and those are plastic. So, right? I mean, if it matters to you, it doesn't matter to me if it's plastic in this particular case, because yeah, that's plastic too. So, yeah, not losing out in quality. But it also comes with some, I think these are smoke lenses. Now I already have smoke lenses on mine, but now I got a spare, right? In case they crack or I mess something up. So, let's put them on. So this isn't a really complicated process at all. We're gonna have to take off the lens because just like we did with the front, there's that rubber O-ring that needs to be put on that I guess creates that gap. But what's interesting is with these ones, like the mounting is in the front, so I'm not sure. And then these are the stock screws or screws that are on here now. The kit came with additional screws, or not additional, but 4 much longer screws, but they're not even the same diameter. So maybe this applies to other models or something like that, but yeah, we'll see if this is going to be a problem. All right, so we're back. Got screws. We had to run to the local because even though with the tons and tons of screws I've saved over the years, I didn't have these, and so apparently what goes in here are number 632s. I went ahead and used the same length as those longer screws that came with the pack. So, you know, if they are too long, I can always cut these, or I didn't want to go too short and not be able to use them. So we'll see. It was like $1.50 out the door. So nothing that's going to break the bank. So let's go ahead and try this out now. We got this first one on. Now, the one thing that is a huge difference is the front ones, they kind of go over the lens, and these ones sit on top. So you're going to have this little kind of split. I mean, you got lines everywhere else. So is it a big deal? No, but just be aware that that's out there. So that's kind of what that looks like there versus the stock, right? So the stock is just very much of a lollipop versus that. So it just kind of adds a little bit more bulk to it, I think. Looks clean. I don't know. Let's get the other one on and see what this looks like as a whole. All right, guys. So tell me what you think. Here's the finished product. I love the back. Like I said, I feel like this just kind of works or flows better with this because there isn't anything that those visors need to match to. When you step back, you don't see, like I said, that gap really or anything like that. It's not even a gap. It's just the plastic, right? And then as you kind of make your way around the front, you see those front. And again, just kind of adding bulk to your turn signal, mirroring or matching the passing light, the headlight bezel, or visor, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, I think all in all, this is a very, very good and cost-effective upgrade, right? Okay, guys, that's going to be a wrap for these turn signal visors, bezels, whatever you want to call them. Again, super cost-effective, like 15 bucks for the back ones, 20 bucks for the front ones. They add just that little bit of bulk, a little extra bling if you're into the chrome thing like I am, and they look great. So, I mean, you definitely, it's an easy win. You know, hopefully this is something that, you know, you've been thinking about, and now you get to see what it looks like. Of course, installation is a no-brainer. It's 2 screws, no matter where you go. Those little rings, the rubber seals or whatever, I think that's probably something that should have been a part of the original covers anyways. And let me know if that is the truth, because none of my lenses had it as I went through and replaced them with the smoke lenses. But I did notice as I took these off, you could see that water was getting in there and kind of sitting at the base. Not that it was going to short out the bulb or anything like that, unless I was, of course, in a flood or something. But then I've got bigger problems. Anyhow, you know, if you enjoy the content, or if you enjoyed this video, hit that thumbs up. If you enjoy the content, become a subscriber. We've got so many more things that we're still going to do, not only here to the Road King that I call Blue, but also to my 2017 Road Glide that I call Jefe. So if you want to see what those things are going to be, what this is all going to look like, stick around, become a member, subscribe. Costs you nothing, and it helps me out a whole bunch. So I really do appreciate every single one of you who have subscribed, and I look forward to each one of you who will subscribe. So until that day does come, I hope to see you in the win.